Welcome back to my channel, Valuable Rare Coins. If you love discovering hidden treasures in your pocket change, you're in the right place. First, we'll uncover some of the most valuable and rare US coins that could be worth a fortune. Let's dive in. We're diving deep into a coin that blends American history, art, and inspiration all in one, a coin that's not only beautiful but might just be sitting in your pocket right now. We're talking about the Maya Angelou quarter dollar, minted in 2022 with the P mark from the Philadelphia Mint. Now, you may be thinking, it's just a quarter, right? But stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll see why this particular coin has collectors buzzing, and why one version of it could be worth an unbelievable $50,000. Let's start with what makes this coin so special. The 2022 Maya Angelou quarter was the very first release in the U.S. Mint's American Women Quarters program, an initiative celebrating the incredible achievements and contributions of women throughout American history. And who better to begin with than Dr. Maya Angelou, an icon of literature, civil rights, and cultural change. Her influence stretched far beyond poetry. She was a voice for the unheard and a symbol of resilience. On the obverse of the coin, we see a familiar face, George Washington. But look closely. This isn't the standard Washington portrait you're used to. It's a new, right-facing design by renowned sculptor Laura Garden Fraser, originally created back in 1932. It was finally brought to life in 2022 to better reflect the spirit of this new series, paying homage to the past while stepping boldly into the future. Flip the coin over, and here's where it becomes truly remarkable. The reverse features a striking image of Maya Angelou, arms uplifted in front of a rising sun, with a majestic bird soaring behind her. This artistic tribute captures her soaring spirit, echoing the themes of hope and freedom found in her work, particularly her famous autobiography, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. The way the sunbeams stretch across the coin, the fluid lines of the bird, and the expressive pose of Maya herself, every detail has meaning. It's not just currency. It's poetry in metal, but this coin isn't just admired for its design. It's attracting serious attention from collectors. Why? Because while millions of these coins were produced, the real value comes from condition, mint errors, and rarity. That little P mark under the date means it was minted in Philadelphia. And although many coins came out of that mint, very few survive in what collectors call mint state. We're talking about coins that are virtually flawless, no scratches, no wear, just pure, sharp detail. Even fewer of these coins have rare minting errors, those tiny mistakes that happen during production, like doubled dies, off-center strikes, or die cracks. To a collector, those errors aren't flaws, they're unique fingerprints that turn an ordinary coin into a one-of-a-kind collectible. Point one version of the 2022 Maya Angelou quarter was found with a dramatic die clash error, where parts of the coin's front design appear faintly on the back. Others have been spotted with doubled text or unusual metal striations. These variants can be incredibly rare, and when preserved in pristine condition, their value skyrockets. So, how do you know if your Maya Angelou quarter is worth more than 25 cents? Start by checking the surface. Is it sharp and clean without any signs of wear? Next, look closely for doubling, especially around the words Liberty, In God We Trust, and Maya Angelou. A magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe can help with this. And finally, check the coin's alignment. If anything seems unusual, off-center, or oddly placed, you could be holding a rare error. Now, let's talk numbers. While most 2022 Maya Angelou quarters are worth face value, or maybe a few dollars in uncirculated condition, collectors have already paid significant premiums for high-grade versions or rare errors. Some certified examples in MS 67 or MS 68 have sold for hundreds, even thousands of dollars at auction. But here's where things get really exciting. In an extremely rare case, a Maya Angelou quarter from the Philadelphia Mint, featuring a dramatic minting error, preserved in pristine condition, was appraised at a jaw-dropping $50,000. Yes, you heard that right. $50,000. That's the kind of discovery that turns everyday collectors into lucky legends. It's what makes this hobby so thrilling. You never know what treasure you might find in your change jar, a coin roll, or an old collection box. If you've got a 2022 Maya Angelou quarter, take a closer look. It could be a piece of American history. Or, if you're really lucky, it could be the key to an unexpected fortune. Second rare coin, we're traveling to Big Sky Country, Montana, to explore a quarter that's rugged, symbolic, and potentially incredibly valuable. We're talking about the 2007 Montana State Quarter, proudly marked with a P for the Philadelphia Mint. You might have seen one of these in your change, or tucked inside a coin jar somewhere. But what you probably don't know is that this simple-looking quarter could be worth far more than 25 cents. In fact, if you stick around until the end of this video, we'll reveal how one specific Montana quarter could be worth a jaw-dropping $80,000. Let's saddle up and dive into the story behind this fascinating coin. The Montana State Quarter was released in 2007 as part of the wildly popular 50 State Quarters program, one of the most successful coin series in U.S. history. Each coin in the series represented a different U.S. state, featuring designs that reflected its unique heritage and spirit. Montana, admitted to the Union in 1889, got its chance to shine with a bold, powerful image that speaks to the state's wild and untamed beauty. On the obverse side, as with all state quarters, you'll find the familiar profile of George Washington. This design stayed consistent throughout the series and continues to honor the very first president of the United States. But the real story unfolds on the reverse. The reverse of the Montana quarter is dominated by an image that grabs your attention immediately, a massive bison skull floating above the state's sweeping landscape. It's not just art, it's a symbol deeply tied to Montana's cultural and ecological identity. The bison represents strength, freedom, and the legacy of the Great Plains. This particular design element pays tribute to the Native American tribes of the region and their spiritual connection to the buffalo, an animal central to their traditions, survival, and stories. Beneath the skull lies a landscape that echoes Montana's nickname, Big Sky Country, with vast open spaces and distant mountains, scenes that evoke freedom, solitude, and the wild beauty of the American West. Now, while the design itself is powerful, what really has collectors talking is the coins. Hidden potential value. Millions of these quarters were minted, specifically over 256 million from the Philadelphia Mint alone. So how can a coin minted in such large numbers be rare? The answer lies in three factors: condition, minting errors, and collector demand. First, let's talk condition. Coins that have been circulated, tossed in pockets, scraped against keys, dropped on floors lose value quickly due to wear and tear. But a Montana quarter in mint state condition, meaning it looks almost exactly as it did the day it was struck, can be worth significantly more. Coins graded MS 67 or MS 68 by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC are already commanding much higher prices than their face value. Then there are minting errors, and this is where things start to get exciting. Some Montana quarters were discovered with fascinating mint errors. These can include things like double dies, die cracks, clipped planchets, or misaligned strikes. These aren't common, but when they do occur, they turn a mass-produced coin into a one-of-a-kind collectible. Imagine a Montana quarter with a double die on the bison skull, or a coin where the details are slightly off-center, giving it a unique twist. These kinds of flaws might seem minor to the untrained eye, but in the world of numismatics, they're gold. Error coins, especially from a well-known series like the 50 State Quarters, are highly desirable, and their value can multiply dramatically based on rarity and visual appeal. How do you know if you have a Montana quarter that's worth more than just pocket change? First, check the mint mark. We're focusing on the ones stamped with a P from Philadelphia. Next, look at the condition. If it still has its original luster, with no scratches or signs of wear, that's a good start. Then, examine the details closely with a magnifying glass. Pay attention to the bison skull, the inscriptions, and the edges. Look for any doubling, cracks, or oddities in the design. If you find something unusual or your coin appears flawless, it might be worth having it professionally graded. Because sometimes those small differences make a big impact. And now what you've been waiting for. In a rare and remarkable case, one Montana state quarter from 2007 with the Philadelphia mint mark and a significant minting error, preserved in pristine condition, was valued at an astonishing $80,000. Yes, $80,000. For a quarter. It's the kind of story that makes your heart race just a little. A coin you could have overlooked in a handful of change, or one that might be sitting in a forgotten drawer, could be a key to a small fortune. That's the magic of coin collecting. It's not just a hobby, it's a treasure hunt. Go check those jars, flip through your old collections, and inspect every quarter you come across. The 2007 Montana quarter might look ordinary at first glance, but under the right circumstances, it's a coin that could change your life. Third expensive coin, we're focusing on a classic from the legendary 50 state quarters program, the Connecticut State Quarter, issued in 1999 and proudly marked with a P from the Philadelphia Mint. At first glance, this coin might look simple, but don't be fooled. This unassuming little piece of metal could be worth far more than you imagine, and if you stick with us until the end of the video, we'll tell you about one version of this coin that's been valued at an unbelievable $99,000. Yes, that's right, $99,000. So don't go anywhere. You won't want to miss this. Let's start with a bit of background. The Connecticut State Quarter was the fifth coin released in the 50 State Quarters program, which ran from 1999 to 2008. This program was a groundbreaking move by the U.S. Mint to honor each of the 50 states with its own unique coin design, and it sparked a collecting craze across the country. Connecticut's coin holds a special place in the series, not just because it was one of the first, but because of the story it tells. On the front of the coin, as with all state quarters, you'll see the familiar image of George Washington. This design stayed consistent throughout the series and is a nod to the nation's first president. But flip the coin over, and you'll see something truly iconic, the Charter Oak. Now, this isn't just any tree. The Charter Oak is a symbol of Connecticut's fierce commitment to independence and self-governance. Legend has it that in 1687, when the British governor tried to seize Connecticut's royal charter, colonists hid it inside a large white oak tree to keep it out of the crown's hands. That tree became a lasting symbol of defiance, freedom, and American ingenuity. The reverse of the coin captures the Charter Oak in stunning detail, with its sprawling branches and powerful presence. It's not just beautiful, it's a piece of living history. The dates 1788 and 1999 appear on the coin, marking the year Connecticut became a state and the year the quarter was issued, respectively. But here's where things get even more interesting. While millions of these quarters were minted, over 600 million from the Philadelphia Mint alone, most of them are only worth their face value. You'll find them in circulation, in drawers, and forgotten change jars. So what makes one of these quarters valuable? The answer lies in condition, rarity, and minting errors. Let's talk condition first. A circulated coin, one that's been used in everyday transactions, isn't going to be worth much. But if you find a Connecticut quarter in mint state condition, especially one graded MS 67 or higher, you're already looking at a piece that's worth well above face value. The finer the condition, the higher the value climbs, but it's the minting errors that truly grab collectors' attention. Some Connecticut quarters have been discovered with rare production flaws. We're talking about double dies, where parts of the design appear twice due to misalignment during minting. Or off-center strikes, where the design is visibly misprinted. Others might have die cracks, clipped planchets, or even partial missing elements. These flaws are accidents to the mint, but they're jackpots for collectors. Now imagine this: a Connecticut quarter with the P mint mark, preserved in flawless condition, showing a rare and dramatic double die error where the details of the Charter Oak appear ghosted or slightly shifted. These types of coins are incredibly rare, and when they show up at auction, they make waves in the collecting world. How can you tell if you're sitting on a valuable Connecticut quarter? First, check for that P mint mark. It tells you it was minted in Philadelphia. Then examine the coin's condition. Is it shiny, sharp, and free of scratches? That's a great sign. Next, get a magnifying glass and look at the fine details, especially around the tree branches, the words Connecticut, and the date. If you see any doubling, unusual textures, or anything that looks out of place, you might just have something special. And now, here's what you've been waiting for. In a truly remarkable and rare case, a Connecticut state quarter from 1999. Minted in Philadelphia, featuring a dramatic minting error and graded in near-perfect condition, was appraised at a staggering $99,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. $99,000. For a single quarter, that's the kind of discovery that turns an average day into an unforgettable one. It's what makes coin collecting such an exciting adventure. You never know what rare piece of history might be hiding in your wallet or coin jar. So don't overlook those state quarters. That little piece of Connecticut, with its legendary tree and roots in rebellion, could be worth more than you ever imagined. Especially, we're setting sail into the past, back to the early 2000s, when the U.S. Mint released one of the most historically rich and visually stunning coins in the entire state quarters program, the Virginia State Quarter from the year 2000, bearing the D mint mark for the Denver Mint. Now, before you brush it off as just another quarter, hear this. One of these Virginia quarters, under the right circumstances, has been valued at an incredible $30,000. Yes, you heard that right. So don't go anywhere, because this is one coin you're going to want to look out for. Let's set the scene. The year was 2000. America was celebrating the turn of a new millennium. The U.S. Mint's state quarters program was in full swing, and excitement was sweeping across the country. People were collecting quarters from every state, eagerly checking their change to see which ones they had and which they still needed. It was more than just a hobby. It was a national phenomenon. When it came time to honor Virginia, the Mint had a lot of history to work with. After all, Virginia is known as the birthplace of America. It's where the first permanent English settlement was founded and where key chapters of American history unfolded. The obverse of the coin, like all state quarters, features the profile of George Washington, America's first president and a Virginian himself. But it's the reverse side of the coin that truly makes it a standout. There, you'll find an elegant depiction of 3 ships sailing across the Atlantic Ocean: the Susan Constant, the Godspeed, and the Discovery. These were the very ships that brought the first English settlers to Jamestown in 1607. That moment marked the beginning of what would eventually become the United States. The image captures the spirit of exploration, bravery, and the birth of a nation. Along the top of the coin, you'll see the word Virginia, with 1788 marking the year the state joined the Union. Below the ships, the inscription reads Jamestown 1607 to 2007, celebrating the 400th anniversary of that monumental voyage. Finally, the mint year 2000 is shown at the bottom, along with the tiny but crucial letter D for Denver. But here's where things get really interesting. Not all Virginia quarters are created equal. With over 651 million Virginia quarters minted in Denver alone, most of them are common. You'll find them in circulation everywhere. But among those hundreds of millions, a select few stand out either because of their flawless condition or because of rare minting errors that dramatically increase their value. Let's start with condition. Most coins go straight into circulation and get scratched, dented, or worn down. But a small number are pulled from circulation early or never used at all. These are known as uncirculated coins, and when professionally graded at high levels like MS 67 or higher, they can already fetch impressive prices. Then, there are the errors. These are the holy grail for collectors. A few Virginia quarters have been discovered with rare and dramatic minting mistakes, like double dies, where parts of the design appear twice, slightly offset, or off-center strikes, where the image is visibly shifted on the coin. There have even been coins struck on the wrong planchet, giving them a different weight, thickness, or color than a normal quarter. These aren't just flaws, they're collector magnets. So, how do you know if you're holding something special? First, check for the D mint mark just above the date on the front. Then examine the coin's surface. Is it bright, clean, and free from scratches? That's a good sign. Look closely at the ships on the back. Are the lines crisp? Do you notice anything unusual around the sails, the lettering, or the edges? Use a magnifying glass if you need to. What you're searching for is anything that looks out of the ordinary: doubling, cracks, missing elements, or even slight discoloration. If you find one, you could be looking at a serious collector's piece. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. IN1 Extraordinary Case, a Virginia state quarter from the year 2000, minted in Denver. Featuring a rare double die error and preserved in near-perfect mint state condition, was professionally appraised at an astonishing $30,000. That's right, $30,000 for a single quarter that most people wouldn't give a second glance. It's stories like these that remind us why coin collecting is so exciting. Because somewhere out there, in a forgotten piggy bank or an old coin roll, could be a coin that turns an ordinary day into an unforgettable one. So take a closer look at those state quarters. The next time you see a Virginia quarter with the 3 ships, remember, you might just be holding a piece of treasure disguised as everyday change. Next coin, I'm talking about the New Jersey state quarter, released in 1999 and struck at the Denver Mint, marked with the small but important letter D. It might just be one of the most historically important and surprisingly valuable quarters out there. So grab your coin jar, check your change, and stay with me until the very end, because we're going to reveal how one of these little coins sold for an unbelievable $100,000. Let's take it back to where it all began. The year was 1999, and the United States Mint had just launched the 50 State Quarters program, a decade-long celebration of all 50 states, with a brand new quarter design released every few months. The goal? To honor each state's unique history, culture, and legacy. The series was a massive hit, with millions of Americans suddenly becoming collectors overnight. New Jersey was the 3rd state to be honored, and when its quarter hit circulation in 1999, it stood out immediately. Now, let's talk about design, because this coin tells a dramatic, powerful story in a single snapshot. On the reverse side of the New Jersey quarter, we see one of the most iconic and emotional scenes from the American Revolution: General George Washington crossing the Delaware River. This design was inspired by the famous painting by Emanuel Leutze and shows Washington standing tall at the front of a small boat, surrounded by a group of Continental soldiers. They're pushing through the icy river in the dead of night on Christmas, 1776, a desperate, daring move that changed the course of American history. And here's something you may not know. New Jersey is the first state quarter to feature a real historical event instead of a symbol or a landmark. It's not just a coin, it's a tribute to courage, leadership, and the spirit of revolution. You'll also notice the words "Crossroads of the Revolution" inscribed beneath the image, a nod to New Jersey's critical role during the war, where more than 100 battles and skirmishes took place. Above that is the state name New Jersey and the date 1787, marking the year the state joined the Union. And at the very bottom, the mint year 1999, along with the precious little D mint mark, indicating that this quarter was struck at the Denver Mint. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Over 450 million of these New Jersey quarters were minted in Denver alone. That means, in theory, they should be extremely common, right? But as any experienced collector will tell you, rarity is never just about how many were made. It's about how many have survived in perfect condition and how many contain minting errors that make them truly one of a kind. Let's break that down. Most of these quarters went straight into circulation, into people's pockets, wallets, vending machines, you name it. They've been scratched, dinged, and worn down by everyday use. So, if you have a New Jersey quarter in near-perfect condition, one that still shines like the day it was made, you're already holding something more valuable than most. But it gets even better when we talk about mint errors. Every now and then, something goes wrong at the mint. A die might be misaligned. A coin might be struck off-center. Sometimes, parts of the design get doubled, what's known as a double die error. And when these flaws happen, they create rarities, unique variations that collectors go crazy for. Some New Jersey quarters have been found with doubling on the lettering, others with misstruck edges, or even die cracks that cause odd lines to appear across the coin. These quirks, while accidental, turn a simple quarter into a prized SO. How can you tell if your New Jersey quarter is something special? Start with the mint mark. Make sure it has that little D under the year 1999. Then look at the condition. Is the surface still shiny? Are all the details on Washington's boat sharp and crisp? Use a magnifying glass if you have one. Check the words, especially New Jersey, Liberty, and E pluribus unum for signs of doubling or distortion. Look at the edges too. Are they clean and even, or do they look clipped or misaligned? Any of these signs could mean you're holding a rare error coin, and now the moment you've been waiting for. In one extraordinary case, a 1999 New Jersey state quarter struck at the Denver Mint, featuring a rare and dramatic double die error, and preserved in near-flawless mint state condition, was appraised and sold for an astounding $100,000. That's right, $100,000. From a coin that originally cost just 25 cents. So the next time you go through your change, don't overlook those state quarters, because among them could be a hidden gem waiting to be discovered. Last unique coin, we're taking a trip to the heart of the Lone Star State, Texas. But we're not just talking about cowboy hats and barbecue, we're talking about one powerful little coin, the Texas State Quarter, minted in 2004 and marked with a D for Denver. Now, at first glance, this quarter might look like something you'd pass around in your change without a second thought. But here's the twist. If you have the right version of this coin, especially in pristine condition or with a rare error, you could be holding onto something incredibly valuable. In fact, one of these coins has been valued at a jaw-dropping $40,000. Stick around, because we're going to explore exactly why. Let's rewind for a second to set the stage. In the early 2000s, the U.S. Mint was deep into its historic 50 state quarters program. This wildly popular initiative featured a new quarter design for each state in the order they joined the Union. It was a brilliant move. It turned coin collecting into a mainstream craze and brought history right into the palms of people's hands. In 2004, Texas finally got its turn to shine, and the design chosen for its quarter was as bold and iconic as the state itself. On the reverse of the coin, you'll immediately notice a massive, solitary five-pointed star, the ultimate symbol of the Lone Star State. That star represents Texas's independent spirit, its brief but proud history as a sovereign republic, and its powerful cultural identity. Behind the star is an outline of the state of Texas itself, simple, sharp, and unmistakable. There's also a set of longhorn cattle ropes twisting around the edge, paying homage to the state's cowboy heritage, ranching roots, and legendary frontier past. Above the design is the name Texas, along with 1845, the year the state joined the Union. At the bottom, you'll see the mint year, 2004, and if it came from the Denver Mint, you'll spot the tiny but crucial D mint mark just below it. On the obverse side, as with every coin in the series, you'll see the portrait of George Washington, Father of the Nation, along with the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, and United States of America. But while the design is beautiful and deeply meaningful, what makes the Texas State Quarter truly special isn't just how it looks, it's what might be hiding in plain sight. Let's talk rarity. More than 263 million Texas quarters were struck at the Denver Mint in 2004. That's a huge number. But here's the thing, almost all of those quarters ended up in circulation. They've been through coin rolls, cash registers, laundry machines, and vending machines. They've been scratched, scuffed, and handled by millions of hands. That's where condition comes into play. Collectors prize coins that are in mint state condition, meaning they're flawless, crisp, and shiny, just as they were when they left the mint. These coins are rare because most people didn't preserve their state quarters. But a Texas quarter graded MS, 67, MS, 68, or even higher, that's a serious collector's item. Now, Let's turn up the heat even more. What really gets collectors excited are minting errors. And believe it or not, several Texas quarters have been discovered with unusual and valuable flaws. These errors may include double die strikes, where the image appears ghosted or slightly repeated, off-center strikes that leave parts of the design cut off, or die cracks that create strange, raised lines across the coin's surface. These kinds of errors are rare. But when they happen, and especially when the coin is in excellent condition, they can turn a 25-cent coin into something worth thousands. So, what should you look for? First, check the mint mark. If you see a small D under the year 2004, it means the coin came from the Denver Mint, and that's exactly the version we're focusing on. Next, check the coin's surface. Is it still glossy? Do the fine details, especially the edges of the star, the outline of Texas, and the rope design look crisp and clean? Now look closer. Use a magnifying glass if you can. Do you notice any doubling in the letters or star? Any imperfections that make the coin look different from a typical one? These subtle differences could be worth a fortune. And now, here's the moment you've been waiting for. IN1 exceptional case, a Texas state quarter from the year 2004, bearing the Denver Mint mark, with a rare and dramatic die error. Preserved in pristine, uncirculated mint state condition, was appraised at a staggering $40,000. That's right, $40,000. For a coin you might have sitting in your change jar right now, it just goes to show, you never know where value is hiding. The next time you come across a Texas quarter, don't just spend it, inspect it. What looks like a regular piece of change could be a hidden gem from the American West. If you enjoyed this deep dive into coin history, value, and collecting tips, go ahead and hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another video about rare and valuable coins that could be sitting right under your nose. Thanks for joining us today, and remember, every coin tells a story, and some of them are worth a whole lot more than you think. Until next time, happy collecting!